Welcome to TTMCast One-on-One with Jeff Baker. Every Wednesday, we'll bring one-on-one interviews with hobby professionals, former athletes, authors, and collectors. Sponsored by Certified Sports Guarantee. Go to csgcards.com for sports card grading for the win. And by sportscollectorsdaily.com. If it happens in the hobby, you'll find it on sportscollectorsdaily.com. And sponsored by GemRate.com. The latest grading statistic from the 4 major grading companies is just a click away. Visit GemRate.com. It's free. Sponsored by Collects, the free app for scanning and valuing your cards. Use the app to build your collection and buy and sell with other collectors. Turn the hobby into your side hustle. And now, here's our host, Jeff Baker.
Hello, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to our fine show. You are listening to TTMCast One-on-One. This is our Wednesday show. It is Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. My name is Jeff Baker. I'm the host of your program, talking to you from Boston, Massachusetts, and joined by my friend and co-host. I'm going to get it right, Drew, I promise. Drew Pelto from Arlington, Texas. Right? Arlington, Texas. See, very good. Not Austin, yes. Arlington. He is the man. He is on DFW Grapher on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Make sure you follow his videos. He posts a video just about every week. I don't think he posted one this week because it was a slow TTM week for him, but he joins us. It's only 100 degrees there in sunny Dallas, Texas today, but he's telling me that summer is almost over.
Supposedly. That's what they're telling us. It's supposed to get back. We're going to have like a week of 100 degrees and it's going to start dropping back down to the 80s and 90s. And I'm hoping that stays. I hope it gets down there. I hope it stays there for a while. And yeah, we need that.
Well, we've had one day over 90 this year in Massachusetts, and we're at 89 today. My little thermometer on my computer. It's nice and sunny. We're gonna hit 90 for a couple days. So summer is here in Massachusetts finally after all this wait, and then it'll be gone. It'll be like 12 degrees again. But
yep.
we are not a weather channel. We like to pass along our suffering in the weather, right, Drew?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's not fun. There's triple digits here, but I made it through at least. Hopefully they're right. There's just another week, and yeah, we can just
I know
into fall now.
When I have it's like 3 degrees here and there's 25 inches on the ground, you'll be laughing at me and saying, "No, it's 75 and sunny here." So
exactly. Well, I mean, knowing us though, it's probably going to be still 20 degrees. And we have like an inch of ice on everything. So
yeah, I know you guys do have that ice sometimes, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, but well, guys, we have a really fun show for you today, an educational show, I'm going to say. We have Rich Mueller, who is the editor of Sports Collectors Daily, and I spoke to Rich this morning, so it is a hot off the presses interview. We talked to Rich about what's been going on with all the legal problems with Panini and Fanatics and the NFL Players Association, and kind of the state of the hobby. And Rich is the man. He's been covering it better than anyone in the world on what's been going on, and we talked to Rich about what's going on in our hobby. So that is coming up next. It is a learning exercise, right, Drew?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, we have a couple things. I just remind everyone, we have our friends from Collects, fine sponsor. Their marketplace has been open for a little while, and they are offering you guys exclusive. This is a TTM Cast exclusive. $10. You get $10 from Collects. It's pretty easy to get. All you have to do is sign up for Collects, go to your Google Play or your Apple store, your app store, download Collects. It's free. Get a username, a Collects username, and then all you do is send us your Collects username and your email address, and Collects is going to send you $10 to spend however you want in their marketplace. So it's really easy. All you have to do is send us your Collects username and your email address to
TTMcast@yahoo.com.
And Collects does the rest. It's really easy. I know a lot of our listeners have taken advantage of it. So last week or so, we've been kind of quiet, guys. So come on, get off your butt and sign up for your $10 coupon and make us look good in the eyes of Collects. And we appreciate that. We have a raffle. Joe and I have a raffle that we're going to give away. Another raffle we're going to give away this week. We have a 5x7 Bill Lee photo autographed, and we have a Dave Steve, Diamond Kings, Diamond's autograph card that we're going to give away. And we've got a lot of people entered already, Drew. So a lot of people are entered. All you have to do is put in send us your mailing address. Very important, your mailing address. In the copy, put card raffle or something to that effect. And we will pick the winners on Friday night or first thing Saturday morning. We'll announce them on Saturday's show. So just send us your name and your mailing address to
TTMcast@yahoo.com.
That's all you have to do. And we'll give away a free Billy 5x7 autograph photo and a Dave Steve Donruss Kings card, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. And we giving away anything else?
No, I think that's everything right now. It's the Dave Steve one. That is the Learn From My Failure raffle. Because I bought that card on eBay, forgetting that I'd already picked one up at the National last year, signed by him. And so I got it. I went in to mark it off my checklist. And it's like, wait a minute, this isn't listed here. What happened? I look at my binder and it's sitting right there. It's like, all right, well, my loss is your gain, everybody. Here you go. So
that's right. Well, that's a great card. Thank you, Drew, for giving that off to our listeners. Just it's early in the week and it's been kind of quiet. I think I got one TTM return today. I haven't seen it yet, and I got 4 or 5 eBay purchases waiting for me. I have my fantasy football draft later tonight. I have the 3rd pick in the draft, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll give an outline, a review of my draft on Saturday. Right, Drew?
Yeah.
So since we're not doing picks, we are not going to do football picks this year.
Yeah,
we're going to put everyone out of their misery. We are not doing football picks. Our shows are long enough now, Drew. We don't need to have another 20 minutes of football picks to extend the show even to 3 hours again, right?
Yep, exactly.
No football picks. How's your week going so far, Drew?
It's going pretty decent. I mean, my cold streak on the TTMs has finally been snapped today. So
who'd you get?
Got Harold Baines back.
Oh, nice. Did he charge?
Yeah, he did charge. I put in 2 cards and $20. He signed one of the cards and kept the 20. So I'll take that. I seem to remember him seeing a lot of stuff out of him that he wasn't signed for 10 anymore. It's like, I think, sending back notes saying he would sign for 25 or something like that. So getting one for 20, I'll take that. I'm totally good on that.
Which card you get?
His 81 Topps card. I sent the 81 Topps and 81 Fleer, and he signed the Topps one. So
nice.
Rookie card right there. Very happy to add that in. What else? Some eBay stuff. It's funny. There's a guy who posted up this big lot of, like, I think it was, I want to say 41 cards for $84 on some 21 Heritage Minor League stuff. So if there's anybody out there who wants to do the Heritage Minor League stuff, there's a great way to start. Just go and check that auction out. But he had 2 out of those 41 or whatever it was that were posted up there. I think I needed 2 of them. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to buy, 40 some that I don't need to get 2 that I do need. So I messaged him on site and I said, hey, if this lot doesn't sell, your Trevor McDonald and your Anthony Servideo, I need those. If your slot doesn't sell, can I buy those separately? He says, I just checked. I have extras on both of them. I'll sell them to you individually. It's just $8 including shipping. So I'm like, boom, done. We'll take those.
Good.
So got the Servideo right there and the McDonald both in here from that guy.
Very nice.
And also from the regular Heritage set, I got the Chad Pinder card autographed. Funny thing on that one was, I'm not gonna say the seller's name on this at all, but he had blocked me from bidding.
Why?
Well, it turns out that about 4 years ago, I bought another signed card from him. And so it came to me, got to me just fine and everything, but he charged me $4 shipping and put what was then a normal 55-cent stamp on it, which means he just made, $3 off of me just for on just gouging on the shipping.
Yeah.
So I left him positive feedback because it got to me quickly. It was still in good condition, everything like that. The price was decent aside from that. But I put a comment in there saying, you're going to charge me $4 for 55 cents shipping, though? Come on, dude, really? Positive feedback, though, so it didn't destroy his feedback rating or anything like that. The dude blocked me. So this one pops up that I need.
He was a little sensitive.
Yeah, just a bit, it seems like. So this one pops up that I need, and I tried to put a bid in on like 4 different times. I even messaged the guy. I'm like, hey, I'd like to bid on this. So what gives? Never heard anything back. And I didn't figure this out until just today when it came in. I'm like, all right, I'm going to figure out what happened here. And oh, there it is. That's what happened. So I was, my wife has an eBay account as well. So I just said, hey, can you go and bid on this for me? He's like, yeah, no problem. And put it in and got it picked up that way. So I found my way around it. So
how much did he charge you for shipping?
I think it was $1.50 and there was like 63 cents. I'm not going to raise a stink about that. So.
Okay. Not bad. Yeah. $4 for shipping is a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I think he's
if you want
up
to
in
get
Canada
for the card, get it for the card. Don't budget on the shipping.
Yeah. And I think this guy's in Canada. So it's like, all right, if you want to charge me $1.50 because you have to carry it over the border to get your 63-cent shipping, fine, whatever. Go ahead and do that. But Yeah, $4 is ridiculous. $1.50, I can deal with that.
Cool. All right. Well, not bad. We're on a positive trajectory, right, for the week. Pretty
Right,
good.
right.
You think you get some more Terry TTMs coming?
That's what I hope. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff out there, so I'm hoping for those. And got some ball games coming up this week. Going to go and see Northwest Arkansas at Frisco, probably on Thursday. That's what the plans are right now. At least Thursday and Saturday, I'm going to try to go. If not, then it'll be at least Saturday. Excuse me, at least Saturday for sure.
Is this the last weekend for autographing for these guys, or you got playoffs?
Yeah, they're probably not going to make the playoffs at all the way it's looking right now. They're a few games back. I mean, they did just bring up the Rangers' #1 prospect there to Double-A there in Wyatt Langford. So things have a desperation move, try to push them into the playoffs. And if they don't make it, the Rangers could even call him up for all I know. But they've got a chance. It's not looking like a good chance, though. I've got the possibility that I might see Cleburne in playoffs. They likely are going to get the Chicago Dogs placing them. Haven't heard for certain yet. Milwaukee, I believe, was the #1 seed in that in their division. So Milwaukee gets to decide which of those 3 playoff teams they want to face.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool setup because, I mean, you've got Milwaukee, Kane County, Chicago, and Cleburne all made it. If you're the #1 seed, you're not going to travel all the way down to Texas for that series.
Right.
When you can just go to, Chicago or Kane County, which is right next to Chicago, and play one of those teams. So I bet Milwaukee's going to pick one of those 2, and then the other one will end up having to come down to here. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be the Chicago Dogs coming to having to play against Cleburne. So hopefully I'll get a chance to see them once because they've got a couple guys I could use. So see what happens.
Well, we get the end of baseball season. Your Rangers they're going to get in, don't you think?
I don't know. I'm hoping they fall flat on their damn face. So, I mean, yeah, at this point, the way it's looking, I mean, they're falling apart when it matters most right now. I mean, they lost to Houston last night, 13-5.
Yep.
And they went from having a 3-game lead over the Astros a few weeks ago. It's now trailing them by maybe 2 games now at this point. So it's not looking good. And if they miss everything, I am going to be laughing so hard. Because, I mean, for a team to go out there and over the last 2 offseasons to spend nearly combined $1 billion on contracts and to miss the playoffs their first 2 years of that, I love it.
My Red Sox have 3 games against your Rangers coming up, so it'll be interesting. We really need it. I think we're 4 games out of the last wild card spot, and isn't looking good. How about your Guardians? Do they have any chance of catching the Twins?
Yes, but they have got to win the rest of the series. They got shelled last night. I think it was 20-6 was the final or something like that. Where they're down 9-1 at the end of the 5th, I think it was. So they brought in catcher / utility infielder / relief pitcher once this year, David Fry, to pitch the final 4 innings of it. So the good thing is, they've at least got their bullpen is going to be fresh for the rest of the series. But
yeah,
that's still, 20-6 does not look good up there. So hopefully they can turn around here in the last 3 and make up a little bit of that ground.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. We get the first week of NFL's coming up. Who are your 2 Super Bowl teams?
Oof, jeez. At this point, the way it's been going the last few years, you can never go wrong picking Kansas City. So I'm going to say Kansas City makes it again, back-to-back years that they're in, 3 out of the last 4 or whatever it was. So I think they get in. NFC, though, oh, man. Oof. I don't even know who to think about.
Do you like the Eagles? You like the 49ers? You like the Vikings? You like the Lions? Any of those teams?
No.
None of them, huh?
I don't know who to pick out of the NFC, but I
like the Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't go with an Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl in back-to-back years at all. So that's why I gotta hold off on. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Let's go with the Eagles and the Bills. Eagles and the Bills.
Okay.
So,
all right, good. Well, we won't hold you to it, right? That's it. That's the last. That's the last picking of the NFL until we get to the playoffs. All right.
Sounds good. All
right, but hey, I think we got all the housekeeping in order. Batting leadoff.
It is Hobby Happenings.
Let's get the show started. Leading off, we look at hobby happenings.
Smart collectors turn to Sports Collectors Daily to stay up to date. From new releases to incredible collections hitting the auction block, news from inside the business of sports collectibles, and much more, Sports Collectors Daily has it, all with no subscription cost. SC Daily also delivers a live look at the most watched sports card auctions on eBay for every sport. Sign up to get the headlines in your email for free, or just visit the website whenever you like. With 16,000 stories in the archive going back 16 years, there's always plenty to read at sportscollectorsdaily.com.
Woo! All right, hobby happenings, guys. Just a summary of what's been going on in the hobby for the last couple of days. We obviously do a baker's dozen on Saturday, so we only have a couple of days of news to report. One thing that kind of hits the news docket that's interesting. Panini lost I don't say lost, but they settled for $25 million on a copyright infringement lawsuit against Wildcard Cards, really the creditors of Wildcard Cards, because they are no longer in business. And the Stat Smashers case, they copied, and it's pretty evident that they copied Stat Smashers. It was probably some graphic designer said, "Hey, let's do Stat Smashers that hasn't been in play in 15 years or 20 years or whatever." But they didn't know that Wildcard still had the copyright to it. So Panini settled for $25 million. And I talked to Rich Mueller about this in our interview coming up to see how he thinks that might affect Panini moving forward in any lawsuits. So just interesting. I know you can't comment on it as a Panini employee, but just, to lose $25 million case during this time when they have all these other lawsuits pending is not a good thing for Panini. Would you comment if you can, Drew? I'm not gonna. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, copyright and trademark are weird things sometimes. This is one of those ones where it's like, to any reasonable observer, it seemed like, this was a set from 30 years ago. It seemed like, okay, just 30 years ago, it was a company that's, gone bankrupt. It seems like something like that should be in public domain or something like that. So I can understand why a graphic designer would, scoop it up and use it, and why anybody else would look at that and go, okay, yeah, go ahead and use it. But yeah, it is what it is. And Panini, I think their thing right now is they know they have bigger fish to fry. If they can get one of these smaller kind of things out of the way there, $25 million isn't exactly small for any of us, but when you're dealing with these multi-billion-dollar things that are going on between them and Fanatics, the NFLPA, the former employees, all this kind of stuff, having to deal with that break-in that happened a few months ago. It's like, yeah, $25 million to get this one out of the way, fine. Let's go ahead and do that, and let's concentrate on these bigger ones there.
Yeah, so, I agree. Well, it's just another loss for Panini, unfortunately, and let's, I'm not rooting for one or the other company. I think as a collector, I just want it to be, I want the collectors to win. So however it falls out, let's make it a win for the collectors, and obviously I'm rooting for you. So we want Drew to have a win as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, but we have some auction news to report.
We do indeed. PWCC, another big auction for them, had a 2020 Panini Prism Black Finite 1/1 rookie card number 398 of Justin Jefferson. That is a mouthful right there just to get that description out of that on that. But they put that one up in the most recent auction, $57,600, the final sale price on that. So, Justin Jefferson, possibly top receiver in the game right now. Anytime you can find a 1/1 rookie card of him, that's a guy like that's gonna be a big payday no matter what. So $57,000 on that one.
Yeah, and I believe that's the second highest price realized for a receiver card. I think there's a Jerry Rice card in there that went for more. Another one on the PWCC auction. This one was kind of cool. It was pulled by a father-son team at the National in Chicago. Last month, a month and a half ago now. It is a PSA 8 Auto 10 of a 2020 Panini Prism Black Finite Rookie autograph of Jordan Love, and it went for $28,000. So there are, there are still high prices realized for relatively new cards. If you have, 1/1s or people are investing in these things and hoping that they can turn a profit on them. And I don't know, Jordan Love hasn't done anything on the field, but I have him on my fantasy team in one of my leagues, so hopefully he does well.
This is the time to take a chance on that right there. Grab him and see if he can finally emerge from the shadows there of Aaron Rodgers up in Green Bay and do something big there.
Yeah, we have some grading numbers to report from our friends at GemRate.
We do indeed. For the end of August and start of September, August 28th through September 3rd. A little bit of a drop here this week, but nothing too severe at all. PSA down 15%. They still graded 279,400 cards during the previous week. SGC, a 1% increase, 28,200 cards graded by them. Beckett, 16% drop, 16,600 cards there that went through their offices. And CGC, 27,600. That is a 20% drop in their numbers.
Well, Drew, we have some new releases to report. And when I say new releases, these are hot off the press. They're coming out in the next day or two. So some of them we don't have prices on yet, but we'll let you know what's coming out. We have a 2022-23 Panini Spectra NBAs due out. 4 cards and 4 packs. You get 4 autos, and that will be coming out, I believe, today. It's coming out today.
Got some football stuff from Panini as well. The 2022 plates and patches set. So the end stuff from last season there with that one. 5 cards per box, 2 autographs, 2 and 1 memorabilia in each box. We don't have a price tag on that one at all yet, but check it out on PaniniAmerica.net.
We have a cool release from Panini on baseball, 2022-23 Panini Immaculate Baseball, which is their high end, right? That's the high end set that it comes in that nice metal case. So you get 6 cards, 1 pack, 4 autos, and 2 memorabilia. And we don't have a price on that, but that is a high end item. So just we'll watch for that. And anything that we don't have a price for, we will report on our Saturday show.
Another football release. It's time for 2023, right off the presses of the newest players there in it. The Donruss Elite set is hitting the shelves. You get 20 packs per box, 5 cards per pack, 2 autographs, 1 memorabilia card, $275 on a box.
Yeah, I like that Donruss Elite. That's a nice set. Nice set as well. From Topps, we have the 2023 Topps Star Wars Chrome Galaxy is out. You get 3 refractors and 1 artist sketch card. Plus, there's all sorts of autographs that you might have a shot at as well. So hobby box for those are going for $220. That's 2023 Topps Star Wars Chrome Galaxy. Boy, what happened to just like Top Star Wars, but Panini baseball? It's just it's not. You're right. They all these have like these long titles now, right?
Yeah, they all do, and I mean that's. I guess there's a good positive to it there. I mean, I like having a nice variety there, but yeah, sometimes I'm with you. I just want some simpler times.
I know, simpler times. That's what we're looking for. Well, talking simpler times, I spoke with Rich Mueller. Rich Mueller is the editor and founder of Sports Collectors Daily. I think he's founded it like 17 years ago or something, and we talk about that as well. We talked to Rich about what's been going on in all these court cases with Panini and Fanatics and the NFL Players Association and the NBA, and just kind of how making heads or tails of this thing, because I don't know about you, Drew, but I'm so confused with everything that's been going on.
Yeah, I mean, even as kind of a semi-insider, I'm just like, I'm not a legal expert or anything like that. I just have to I'll let those guys deal with the wrangling there, and I'm just going to sit back as a semi-interested observer there and just kind of see what happens and what develops.
All right, well, please enjoy my interview with Rich Mueller from Sports Collectors Daily.
The Certified Collectibles Group is playing to win. CGC Trading Cards and CSG are combining into CGC Cards, solidifying its position as one of the world's largest and most prominent card grading services. With the merger, collectors get a number of upgrades, including the option to submit without a paid membership, a Gem Mint 10 grading scale, a sleek new label, a simplified submission process, and prices you are going to love. Grade all your cards with CGC Cards and visit cgccards.com today. This week's interview is brought to you by Certified Sports Guarantee, csgcards.com for superior sports card certification and grading.
This segment is sponsored by Collects, the free app for scanning and cataloging your cards. Buy or sell cards on the marketplace. Turn the hobby into your side hustle today. All right, guys, class is in session. Sit down. Be quiet. We have Professor Rich Mueller on. Rich, of course, is from Sports Collectors Daily. He is the editor and founder of Sports Collectors Daily. And we are going to talk about the law and all this stuff that's been going on with Fanatics and Panini and the NFL Players Association, and try to bring this all into focus, because I think like me and and Drew, we're all a little confused in what's been going on, and it's kind of changing every day. And we thought it'd bring on Rich, because Rich is doing this. He's been doing this forever, and he has a better handle on it than most people. So welcome, Rich.
Hey, glad to be with you, Jeff. I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV, but we can certainly summarize and have some interesting conversation about it. Anyway, it's certainly a crazy time for that part of the hobby.
I know you never thought that you'd have to have a law degree when you started doing this 10 years ago, right? It's just
Oh
like
man,
it has
yeah.
just been so bizarre, and it's not boring, and it's not dull, but it's just intricate, and there's a lot of I don't know, schoolyard bullying, and I don't know, there's just a lot of feelings that have been hurt through all this, don't you think?
Yeah, it kind of illustrates what big business this hobby we call it really is. I mean, you're talking obviously some extremely valuable licenses, and it goes way beyond just those of us who maybe buy a pack or a box once in a while. It's big business. There's no doubt about it. I mean, these stories about Panini and Fanatics, obviously we're covering them because it's very important to the hobby. But we're seeing articles in all the big business publications and mainstream media outlets and network news web pages. And so it's, very big time business. Let that never be forgotten. I mean, we all like to think of it as a little hobby, and then hopefully we all can still kind of enjoy it, no matter what end of the hobby you're in. But for those who are into the licenses and our manufacturers looking to get licenses or have licenses, it's big business, no matter what they say and what they try to do to appeal to average collectors. This is a business that involves lawyers making hundreds and thousands of dollars an hour on this stuff, and they're spending countless hours to try and figure this all out.
Do you think Fanatics bit off more than they can chew in terms of investing all this money in these licenses and not being able to recoup any funds, for 5, 6, 7 years down the road? Do you think Fanatics kind of went in not with their eyes wide open on this?
Well, that was the strange thing to me when this all happened, and we wrote about it back in 2021 when they gobbled up all these licenses at one time, made these deals behind closed doors, really in secret. No one knew what was going on until this story broke, just completely caught everybody by surprise, except those who I'm sure were involved in the negotiations, and nobody was talking. But yeah, that's what I couldn't, and I understand why they did it. They wanted to strike first so that Panini didn't have a chance to renew their deal, which they'd already done before with the NBA and the NFL. And so they wanted to go in and construct these deals and get the players on board, which they did, and get the leagues on board and show the fact that they were serious about basically trying to control all of the major professional sports licenses. Obviously, they didn't get hockey; that was renewed by Upper Deck, but and the NHL and NHL players. But that was the strange thing to me, was that when this all happened, there was 4 and 5 years left on these NBA and MLB licenses. Yeah. Obviously, they were able to get Topps and went in and bought that company when that worked out quite well for them. But there's no incentive, or wasn't, for Panini to just roll over and say, well, here you go, you won, so you can take it over early and just pay us a little bit of money. They had no real incentive to do that. So now and who knows what's going on behind the scenes in terms of what they've talked about and what Fanatics has done. Excuse me, we've seen some of that come out in the court papers, but I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that. But I think that was the strange thing, was that what are they going to do? Because no one really knew what was going to happen in the hobby. Obviously, when they bought this, everything was at a high point. That was the zenith, the peak of the post-COVID and early post-COVID sports card industry world, and everything was selling for huge prices. And now obviously it's come back to earth a little bit. And I think Fanatics still wants that license. but obviously they do. They're taking, they've got the deal, but they want to get in early, and I just don't understand, how they could be so confident to go in and say, well, we're going to take these licenses, because you knew they were going to try and make an effort to get in early. Otherwise, you're waiting 4 or 5 years. Who knows what can happen in
Right.
that time frame? And obviously a lot of the people that jumped into this thing, in that time, right during and after COVID, some of those people have left, and that's why we're seeing some of the prices that have dropped a little bit. And some silly money was spent on cards from people who didn't know any better. And so, I didn't understand it then, and I still don't quite understand. I get why they did it, but there were obviously a lot of pitfalls along the way, and we're seeing that now, that they've got Fanatics has a fight on its hands, and Panini is digging in and saying, we've got lawyers too, and we're going to fight you on this, and we don't think what you're doing, we think what you're doing is illegal. And so that's why they filed the antitrust suit, and Fanatics of course responded right away and said, well, we don't agree with what you're saying, and so it drags out in the courts, and it's going to be, I think, in the courts for a while. Of course, now you got the NFLPA supposedly terminating its license with Panini, and at least they told agents that. They haven't spoken publicly about it, so I don't know. It's a strange time and a strange situation, but also one that, I guess it's not really too surprising considering this all played out, several years ago, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Fanatics obviously came in and they got the licenses. They won that deal, which was there's some money involved there. They went out and bought Topps, which wasn't cheap, and then they went out and they hired all these former Panini employees, and that's kind of what really got Panini's ire up, right? They were just like, well, you can't steal our employees and steal our all our professional, secrets that these guys are bringing with them. And I don't, I think Panini just said, okay, that's enough, right? Enough is enough.
Well, that's the other element of this. Fanatics, to try and get in and as early as they could, they've got a plan, no doubt, to try and get this business started and put some pressure on Panini. And the situation with the employees is one of that, one of those elements where they were already advertising for people to come work for them, and Panini has the license and Fanatics doesn't. That was all part of this, and then the situation with the printing press, Fanatics buys
right, basically Panini's printing.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's a lot going on behind the scenes there that we may never know about in terms of what will happen with that as Panini try to find another place to print. They claim that that's a really critical element to their business. What happens there at that printing facility, and the things that they're able to do that others aren't. So, it's it's an interesting situation that for collectors who are wondering what's coming next and how quickly this is going to get resolved. I don't think anybody knows. The shops are kind of pausing their, taking orders. Online retailers, they're kind of pausing orders because they don't know, in terms of pre-sales, because they don't know whether they're going to have any cards to sell. Panini has some things on the schedule yet. They're still putting out football card products, and they're going to apparently continue to do that. There, as I understand it, there's probably a clause in the contract that will enable them to, they have a certain window, whether it's 90 days, typically I think is what you see in those cases, to where they can produce products that they have in the pipeline. But what happens after that, if it is 90 days, what happens after that period? Is it over? You look at what's coming down the pike, and the last Panini product currently listed on the schedule, I believe, is supposed to be the Donruss factory sets in November. Now, whether we actually see those or not, I don't know. But they do have products, coming out, a few here and there through next month. So, I suspect that those will still come out. But, as Fanatics now, are they in a position where they can start creating football products for distribution later this fall. I don't know. And there's been, like I said, there's been no official announcement from the NFLPA. It's now in arbitration. Panini is asked for an arbitrator to decide, whether they can continue to produce under the contract or whether they do. In fact, we don't we don't know even what the situation was that led the NFLPA to supposedly terminate this deal, or at least they let the agents know that it was terminated. So that's kind of where it sits, and everybody's kind of still in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the one that really confused me and had me step back for a second was the NFLPA, associated, the Players Association, canceling or nullifying their deal, and I don't. From a legality standpoint, it doesn't seem like it was a legal move. Would you agree?
Well, we don't know what it says, what that agreement says, and whether, there was something in there that they felt legally that they could challenge, and say that Panini didn't live up to this deal that they had with the NFLPA. And the Players Association obviously is wanting to go with their newest licensee. They want to, the players have a stake in this deal that they've made with Fanatics, and they want it to start, I'm sure, as soon as they possibly can. So they're probably in favor of moving the thing forward. And Panini's like, well, wait a minute, we have a deal. But it could be something in one of those lawsuits. I thought the timing was really interesting that this came out not long after these lawsuits were filed. And the first one obviously was by Panini, the antitrust suit, and then Fanatics followed up with their countersuit. So, but I'm wondering if there was something in one of those exhibits, one of those suits that caused the NFLPA to say, we think that there's something here that you violated the terms, and we can legally put an end to this agreement early.
You know what? I think this all these lawsuits obviously brought attention to both companies into our hobby. It may be from somebody that they don't want to be looking at it, and I'm talking about the feds and the federal government and the antitrust and monopoly section of this whole mess. Do you think it's an unwanted attention from Fanatics and Panini that the feds are going to be involved in this now?
Well, I don't know about that. It's possible, I guess, but I think the uncertainty isn't good for anybody. I think that this whole thing being up in the air, yes, collectors just want cards to buy. And right now, with the season kicking off this week, I don't think they care, whether it's Panini or Fanatics, they just want cards to buy because it's a huge deal when you start to see rookies, perform well early on and people want their cards. And the whole thing that hangs over this is just not good. That we don't know who the card manufacturer is going to be for the NFL. How long is Panini going to have it? When is it going to stop? If it is going to stop, how many products are going to be, produced at the prime time of the NFL season? Probably it's okay for the next few weeks, but once we get into the heart of the season, what kind of products are there going to be available for people to collect? And we went through this with the NBA's lockout several years ago, back when they wound up doing a double rookie class because they couldn't produce any cards. That's the worst case scenario for card shops, for collectors, for distributors, for dealers, for online retailers. It's just a bad situation. And, you hope there's some kind of a resolution one way or the other. I think if you're into the modern football card scene, because you just don't want that uncertainty. Nobody does. It's just kind of a bad deal all the way around. And, I think we could kind of see it coming a little bit. At least I'm not shocked by this, but it's it's kind of interesting. It kind of sort of puts the NFL season in a little bit of a different light for collectors. Everybody's excited to see the new season kick off, but it's like, well, what kind of products are we going to have when we get to Christmas time and everybody wants to buy products or boxes of cards for Christmas, or use their Christmas money to buy cards. What are they going to have? I don't know. It's the whole season's just kind of in limbo right now, it seems, and that's just it's a unfortunate deal at a time when people are really excited about the hobby.
Have you heard any rumors that Fanatics / Topps will be producing football cards for the 2023-24 season?
Yeah, I don't think we've really seen anything to that nature other than the fact that the NFLPA has said that, they've told agents that the deal is done with Panini, and, assuming that there's some kind of a window that Panini can still put out what they've got in their pipeline. But, um, you know, I, they have said that Fanatics is now their partner, but we have not heard anything from the NFL, and we haven't heard anything from the NBA about their products coming up this season. So it's just kind of, you know, I don't know. I don't know that how long Fanatics will need to start producing cards under the Topps brand. I assume they need some kind of lead time, and maybe I'm sure they're working behind the scenes on trying to do this, but it's not a simple process. And will there be a gap between the last Panini? If this comes to fruition, will there be a gap between the last Panini product and the first Topps Fanatics football card product? I suspect there will be. If and when this does happen. But right now it's tied up in the courts, and that's kind of where it stands. I'm sure Panini is making every effort that they possibly can to hold this off and to keep doing what they're doing. But how long can they continue to operate under these circumstances? Either if Fanatics, keeps applying pressure and gets all of the, we've seen some of the rookie cards, the key rookies have signed with Fanatics. They haven't
Yeah.
signed with Panini, which means, we don't get autographed rookie cards of some of the top quarterbacks or potentially top quarterbacks. We don't know who's going to be great and who isn't, but that's a problem when your products, you got to get really creative if you don't have the autographs of some of the top rookie cards, that people come to expect.
Have you spoken with anyone from the Players Association on the record, and what is their feeling on this whole mess?
Yeah, I reached out shortly after they sent that letter out, but the answer came back a few days later that they did not have any comment at this time. And so I was not surprised by that, but I think until there is some kind of formal statement that they feel that they can make, then, they're probably not going to say anything.
Fanatics tried to change the locale, or where the antitrust law was going to be residing, as opposed to New York or in Florida, and they lost their attempt to move the lawsuit. Does that bode well for for Panini? I mean,
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think, the that's kind of, I don't know what their whole, reasoning for doing that is. It's, I think at the end of the day, the judge will make a decision, based on the facts in terms of where this, thing is going to play out. Obviously, Fanatics wants to have it close to their headquarters, and Panini wants to have it where they think it should be held. So I suspect that, of the things that we're going to find out, that may be the first thing is where this is going to play out in court. If it gets to that point, there could be a settlement too. We don't know. Supposedly that, according to the court papers, that there were talks, according to Fanatics, there were talks between Fanatics and Panini about settling this thing, and Panini would get paid, a certain fee, and Fanatics felt like they were being disingenuous with their income and revenue sources and or revenue totals, and so they, that those whole talks, supposedly that's why they fell apart. So I don't know whether um, that will eventually play itself out, pretty quickly, or how long that might take.
do you think the recent lawsuit that Panini lost for $25 million for copyright infringement will make Panini more receptive to going, to settling this out of court?
Yeah, it's kind of a striking figure that they would just kind of agree to that, and all of a sudden it's just kind of business as usual. That
You know,
illustrates how much money is involved in this business. That this one, basically a mistake. I think it was just a mistake that somebody thought that that they could do that, and they didn't realize that the wild card, the AAA Sports that had owned wild card back in the day, still had the copyrights, and so they wound up losing this case. And then or at least settled it for $25 million. Yeah, I mean, you'd think that would maybe give them pause to say, boy, that money would really come in handy. But I don't know what Panini's finances are. They're not a public company, so it's hard to know exactly where they sit and how much of an impact that might have. But yeah, that's a pretty good chunk of change to lose for sure.
Looking into your crystal ball, and this is all guessing, of course. Where do you think is the next shoe to drop on this? Do you envision this actually making it through the court systems, or do you think that Panini is going to blank and settle with Fanatics?
I would almost think that it would probably make sense for Panini to settle, given all of the things that are happening and the squeeze that's been put on them in terms of the players losing potentially some of the top young players to Fanatics through these exclusive autograph deals. And that's going to continue to keep happening. I think Fanatics is a powerful source, and they have the wherewithal, the money, and now the players associations basically behind them for the future. So I think that's probably something that Panini is very concerned about, and it would probably make sense for them to come to some sort of a deal and end their contracts early. They may feel they have a good legal case. They were supposed to have these licenses for another couple of years, and they may fight tooth and nail to try to keep them however they can. And some of that may be a little bit of spite. We were going to hang on to this no matter who we have in these packs of cards. We're going to continue to put cards up just because we can. But I would think, just to get rid of this headache and to save the attorney fees, and because that plays into it. You got to spend a ton of money on these. They hired one of the top attorneys in the country to handle this for them. And, that's obviously a commitment, but it's also a big expense. Maybe they feel like they can handle that and he can win the case for them. I don't know. But it seems to me that it would be easier just to make a deal that goes into effect on the 1st of January 2024 to try and, rid themselves of this. But who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be fascinating to watch this all unfold. It's certainly nothing we've ever seen in the hobby before. Licenses have obviously changed hands, but usually it's just a bid. This company bid a little, and it was a shock when Panini took over both the NFL and NBA licenses, back several years ago. So, but that was pretty tame compared to what we're seeing now with all these court battles and, such a big force coming in to basically have a monopoly on trading cards is what they'll have here in a couple of years. Could be good, could be bad. We don't know. Fanatics has the resources to do basically whatever they want. They're very confident that what they do is going to be good for the hobby, and that they're going to make changes and fix some of the things like redemptions, that don't result in autographs that collectors have been peeved about for years and years. They have these redemption cards that they try to get resolved with the company, and it just doesn't happen. And they sit there with these redemption cards for years and years. And that's one thing Fanatics says it's going to take care of. So we'll see what happens. But it's really fascinating if even with all the uncertainty and everything, it's an interesting case to watch, and it's going to be kind of a strange remainder of 2023 for sure.
Yeah, and I think emotion and bruised egos are involved in this, that we, I don't think people are thinking clearly. Would you agree?
Well, I don't know about thinking clearly, but I do believe that, yeah, there's definitely some egos involved for sure. And I think, for some people, it's a game. For some, high-ranking executives that maybe aren't really collectors at heart, it's a business game for them. And, that's unfortunate, because this hobby is still built around the guy who goes to the card show with $100 in his pocket or $200 in his pocket. I think, and you can see that if you go to a small show, that most collectors are still, not the investor types. They're very salt of the earth. We do this to get away from things in our daily lives that are challenging and difficult and very nerve-wracking, and this is supposed to be a hobby. So when it kind of gets to be something a little more big business, it's kind of a turnoff. And I think sometimes they forget that at the highest levels. They can put on a good face and say all the right things, but I just wish that the collectors wouldn't get hurt in any of this, or whatever does happen, I hope happens to make things better. But right now, it's kind of hard to see that.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to play out, and just the hobby as a whole. We're going through this whole thing with Wander Franco, who I'm a huge fan of as a player, but obviously he has some other issues. Are you surprised that the hobby has been able to withstand these kind of these hits to the hobby? And Wander Franco was the face of the hobby last year.
Yeah. But that's been the case, even if it's not something a little sordid like that, it's always been a situation. Just a month ago, we all thought Shohei Ohtani was, almost untouchable in terms of a player that you would want to invest in. And now, I don't know. In fact, we carried an article from Jeff Morris about how, he's still selling well and he's still an incredible offensive player. But now, with this latest injury news that we have now, that he's got a bleak situation, you kind of wonder, how is his season going to end soon enough? It's really, it speaks to the two levels of the hobby. You have the vintage market, which, goes up and down and it's stable, but it's primarily pretty stable. And you have the modern card market, which is sort of the bigger end of the hobby now, with with all the influx of newer people that have come in. I think a lot of the card shows now are focused more on the the speculators and the guys that buy cards and sell cards just based on a player's performance, or I can take this card and this guy has a big weekend and I'm going to take it now to another dealer and sell it for a profit. So that's the gambling end of it. That we've got a very stable group of people that just collect for the collecting end of it, and then you have another very large section of the hobby where it's very much based on player performance. And when you have things like the Wander Franco situation or the Ohtani deal, and Jason, everybody was down on Dominguez, just a year ago, and now all of a sudden he's the darling.
I know he hits 2 home runs and everyone wants his cards again.
yeah. How quickly it can change, that's for sure. It's very two different kind of a dichotomy in the industry. It's always been there. You've always had guys that have been prospectors and chasing the newest rookie cards and buying Bowman Chrome and things like that, hoping that guys turn out to be big stars. And then you have the other end of the very more traditional, set collectors or guys that are collecting Mickey Mantle. But it's I've said many times over the last couple of years that the difference has never been more striking in that, because you don't have you have some crossover, but it's very much two different hobbies.
Well, I think as a hobby as a whole, I think we're still healthy, right? Because grading numbers are way up. Show attendance is really way up. And I think we're hitting numbers on auction results are still way up. Would you agree with me that we're still a healthy hobby?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. And the hobby kind of needs those people that I just mentioned that are very much into flipping, and that's kind of how they do the hobby, is they buy a few cards for their personal collection, but the big focus is to be able to flip. But we kind of need those people to keep the money flowing and keep the transactions going. And that's why you're seeing a lot of activity at shows, because these people are bringing their cases of graded cards around, and they're buying and selling and trading and auctioning things, and it's part of the ecosystem. It keeps it going. But yeah, I think overall those people have brought a little bit of a wider energy to it, I think, that have gotten into it or back into it in the last few years. The hobby was kind of moving forward before that. We had a great crew of rookie cards that kind of came down the pipe with Patrick Mahomes and Doncic, and even though it hasn't worked out for Zion Williamson and Ja Morant the way we thought it was going to, I think the jury's still out on those guys. And then you have Giannis kind of brought a new level, and Ohtani, and so there's always a new player to collect. But what I'm saying is that the hobby was kind of on an upward swing before COVID, even though the huge explosion happened during that time. but I think it's sustained pretty well. Coming out of that, you had a lot of people get in, get out, but you also had a lot of people who stayed, and the people that have been in it for years, like you and I, or people that are just that you see, have built collections over the years. They've gotten more interested, more excited because there is a lot more energy around it, and the shows have gotten bigger. And it's, even if you deal in vintage cards, I know a lot of vintage card dealers that have gone to shows for years and years, and they say the last couple of years have been the best that they've ever had. So yeah, I think there's still a lot of energy, and I think it's you mentioned the auction results. We've seen more auctions and bigger auctions than we've ever seen before, and prices obviously are going to fluctuate, and you're going to see. We've seen a lot of the big time modern cards take huge drops and things like that, but you could also argue that those prices that were attained at the height of the market were unrealistic and not sustainable. And so now maybe we're leveling off to where it should be, at least closer to where it should be. But I think, yeah, and I use shows as my kind of one of my big points to look at in terms of what the hobby health is. And you go to shows, and there were times a few years ago where you're like, oh boy, there's just no energy here and there's not much going on. And now, no matter where you go, and you're seeing new shows pop up all the time, but no matter where you go, the attendance is really good. People are buying, and there's a lot of selling going on. Dealers seem to be happy. So yeah, I think it's in a pretty good place. I regardless of what happens with the Panini situation and Fanatics, it's kind of a weird deal, but I think people are easy. It's easy to look past it because there's always something to collect. Even if there aren't any new cards hitting the market, which we don't know what's going to happen over the next few months. But if there will always be a veteran player or a guy who has a breakout year who had rookie cards last year, and you may have a big auction result for a vintage card, and all of a sudden people get interested in that particular player's cards or that particular set or whatever.
We're talking with Rich Mueller. Rich Mueller, of course, from sportscollectorsdaily.com. He is founder and editor. Rich, what do you have planned for the site? Anything new for the site going into for the rest of the year and into 2024?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's just trying to keep up with all the news and things that have been happening and continue to happen. And we're still seeing new businesses come into the hobby and things like that. And a lot of things on the periphery making news. We just talked about Dominguez, and all of a sudden, we've got a story about Dominguez and Ronnie Mauricio and those guys kind of putting a little charge in the New York collecting and baseball market again. So there's always with so much news that's happening, it's kind of hard to focus on long-term changes or things you want to implement. But yeah, I think you'll see some new features and things pop up on the site. I'm not sure it'll happen this year, but it's probably going to be happening here within the fairly short time frame, and might see some new videos and things like that, but we'll see.
Very cool. Rich Mueller from sportscollectorsdaily.com. Thank you for your time, my friend. It's just so confusing with everything going on with all these lawsuits and Panini and Fanatics and the NFL Players Association. And we haven't even gotten to the NBA and see how this is all going to fall out. But it isn't dull, right? It's always interesting and it's always fun. And you guys really are on top of it better than anyone in our hobby, I think.
I started this 17 years ago with the idea that, there was probably enough to talk about happening in this hobby that we could do a daily online publication. And even though there are some days where it's maybe hasn't been quite so great, I think it's proven itself to be a pretty vibrant hobby that has enough going on to where we can make that happen, especially now.
All right, my friend. Thank you. I really appreciate your time today.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Take care.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Do any of you list your cards for sale on eBay? I've recently signed up with the software by the name of Card Dealer Pro. They take pictures of your sports and trading cards and use artificial intelligence to write the title, description, and upload to eBay. Now I've gone from the ability to list 10 to 20 cards to 200 to 300 plus with the help of Card Dealer Pro. Go to www.carddealerpro.com to try their software completely free for 7 days and get 500 bonus skins by using the promo code TTM500 during signup. Once again, that's TTM 500. Use it at sign up and get 500 additional bonus scans at www.carddealerpro to list your cards with AI today. Well, Drew, Rich is one of my favorite guests. He was my first guest. He was our 100th guest. He was our 150th guest. He was on our first live show. And I just love talking to Rich. I still write a weekly article for them on TTMing. Hopefully you check that out. We have a new article every week. And it was fun to talk to Rich because Rich has been doing this for so long, and he just knows. No one covers the hobby like Rich does.
He's on top of everything, and if he doesn't have it, he's got other people on the staff there that can get whatever he needs. So, yeah, great site there, great guy. Always love hearing from him.
All right, pal. Thank you, Rich. Guys, we have a fun show for you on Saturday. We'll have Clemente Lise on. We're going to talk a little hockey collectibles, some soccer maybe even we'll talk a little football. Clemente, I'm going to talk to him on Thursday, so we'll play that interview on Saturday. We also have John Staggers, who was a running back. I think he was wide receiver. I think he was wide receiver in the NFL. Played for the Green Bay Packers and Falcons, a couple other teams, and he does TTM as well. So we're going to talk to John about his time in the NFL. Drew, anything else before I let you go?
No, I think we got everything pretty well covered here, and hopefully my mailbox stays active through Saturday.
Yeah. All right, guys. So wishing you many happy returns for the rest of the week. We will see you on Saturday. Be good and just have a great week. Talk to you guys on Saturday. Be good.